Hello everyone, I'm Renowned Zero. We are back again talking about how Ubisoft is now deploying their legal team and government help in order to silence Assassin's Creed Shadows critics and combat development harassment. That's right, if you criticize a video game, you are now a harasser. You should be silenced, your opinion shouldn't matter, and you should be, gone away with. As you can't express your opinion anymore about a game that was developed poorly, as most Assassin's Creeds as of late have been. But let's get in this article, of course, from that part. Place says Ubisoft deploys legal team and government help to silence Assassin's Creed Shadows critics and combat development quote-unquote harassment. With Assassin's Creed Shadows set to launch in just 3 days, Ubisoft's mounting desperation has reached a new level. Reports now indicate that the company has quietly enlisted a special team tasked with shielding the developers from what they call quote-unquote online harassment. Again, criticism is not harassment. However, it's the vague, undefined nature of what Ubisoft actually considers quote-unquote harassment that's raising serious concerns and has many questioning whether the company is simply using this initiative to silence critics and control the narrative around its latest highly controversial title. According to an anonymous Ubisoft employee speaking with French outlet BFM TV, Ubisoft has put in place a sweeping quote-unquote anti-online harassment plan ahead of the game's release. This includes dedicated teams monitoring platforms like X, YouTube, Reddit, and others. Ubisoft reportedly has lawyers already lined up prepared to file complaints against those they believe are crossing the line. Now, understand there are people that are going to absolutely cross the line, but again, criticism is not harassment. You using slurs or saying mean things to developers simply for creating a game that you believe is terrible would be considered harassment. The company has even gone as far as advising developers not to disclose their employment on social media to avoid becoming targets. While there's no doubt that personal threats directed at employees are unacceptable, very true, many fans and industry observers are asking the critical question, where's Ubisoft drawing the line? Could negative reviews, memes, or even fair criticism of Assassin's Creed Shadows fall under the interpretation of quote-unquote harassment? Making matters even more troubling, reports suggest that Ubisoft is working directly with Canada's Communications Security Establishment, or the CSE, to monitor online discourse because, of course, Canada is somewhat of a commie state. CSE's involvement, an agency tied closely to government cybersecurity and oversight, has sparked fresh concerns about whether a major gaming corporation should have access to such state-backed tools for monitoring public commentary. The idea of a government-affiliated body assisting in silencing criticism, not illegal behavior, because criticism, again, is not harassment, but simple criticism, has raised red flags for those worried about growing censorship in gaming spaces. Is this truly about protecting employees, or is it about protecting Ubisoft's brand image at all costs? No, it's absolutely about protecting their brand image at all costs, as rumors swirl around saying that their IPs are going to be sold off, and companies like EA and Microsoft are out for those IPs. You know, those same IPs like Prince of Persia and Tom Clancy's Division and Splinter Cell that are not being used at all? Ubisoft has had a rough few years. Between the cancellation of titles like X-Defiant, poor reception of games like Star Wars Outlaws, and repeated financial setbacks, the company is facing significant pressure from investors and fans alike. Internally, Ubisoft's leadership is under fire, with major shareholders even calling for CEO Yves Guillemot's removal. I don't really know how to say the last name. Much of that pressure now rests on the shoulders of Assassin's Creed Shadows, a game that's faced months of backlash for everything from historical inaccuracies to questionable design choices, instead of addressing the actual criticism, such as why a black samurai with debatable historical ties is front and center in a Japan-set story, which is funny because people think that people who've played Assassin's Creed have a problem with a black assassin, even though it seems like no one had a problem with Adewale in Freedom Cry for Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Ubisoft seems to be doubling down, rolling out legal teams and government assistance to control the conversation online. This isn't a strategy focused on delivering a product that can stand on its own. It's about silencing negative voices, regardless of whether the feedback is legitimate. It sets a dangerous precedent, not just for Ubisoft, but for the gaming industry as a whole. The problem lies in Ubisoft's refusal to clearly define what constitutes quote-unquote harassment. Without transparency, content creators, journalists, and regular gamers are left wondering, could honest reviews or negative opinions suddenly be flagged, removed, or met with legal threats? Given recent instances where Ubisoft allegedly targeted creators for simply discussing leaks or criticizing internal decisions, it's not unreasonable to think this new anti-harassment policy could be weaponized. When a company conflates public commentary with personal abuse, it becomes clear that free discourse is at risk. Ubisoft's financial instability, paired with its insistence on controlling online narratives rather than improving its product, points to a company in deep crisis. Similar to companies like Blizzard, they do that all the time. Like how they absolutely botched the launch of Overwatch 2 by removing single-player content that was promised, making Overwatch 2 basically pointless. Instead of embracing feedback and listening to its longtime fan base, Ubisoft appears more concerned with silencing dissent, even if it means enlisting government help to do so. As Assassin's Creed Shadows approaches launch day, the gaming community faces a pivotal moment. Will Ubisoft's strategy of clamping down on criticism set a new industry standard, or will players push back against the creeping control over how games are discussed? Now, considering that most people nowadays go to YouTubers for their opinions on things like Assassin's Creed Shadows and other games that may or may not be good or bad, I believe people will just push back because they're not tied to any brands, they're not tied to any sponsors, they're not tied to being shills of any company. They're tied to having their own opinion, which is why most people go to YouTubers for opinions on things like video games, movies, and TV shows before either partaking in a video game, partaking in watching a film, or partaking in watching a TV series. Because they trust the opinion of the person that they're listening to, although at the end of the day, the only opinion that should really matter is your own when it comes to playing video games, watching movies, reading comics, or watching TV series. The only opinion that should matter is your own. No one should be able to influence your decision on what you can partake in and what activities you can partake in, as long as it's legal, obviously. But things like video games nowadays can be easily watched. You can easily watch a person play a game, decide for yourself whether or not you want to purchase said game and you want to partake in the playing of said video game. Now, Ubisoft doing nothing with their IPs for a long time, I believe, shouldn't be a thing. They should really try to make new games for Splinter Cell, Prince of Persia. Right now Prince of Persia Remake is in limbo. They came out with Prince of Persia The Lost Crown and Prince of Persia some rogue game, and nobody cares about that. People want to play a 3D Prince of Persia game. People want to play new Splinter Cell games. The last Splinter Cell game was Splinter Cell Blacklist, which came out probably over a decade ago. And as they struggle with financials, this may be the nail in the coffin for Ubisoft, as they may probably be bought out by Tencent or even Microsoft or even EA. I would rather it be Microsoft, because then things go to Game Pass. At the end of the day, it's your decision whether or not you want to support Ubisoft, even with this going on, and even with the controversies that have been going on with something like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Me personally, the last great Assassin's Creed game was Black Flag and Rogue, respectively. Everything after that was kind of meh, but I mean, in all honesty, the peak was definitely Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. So thank you all for checking out this video. Really do appreciate all the new subscribers, returning subscribers, new viewers, and returning viewers. If you do like this video, hit that like button. Comment below how you feel about all this. Will you be picking up Assassin's Creed Shadows, or will you be keeping your wallet closed to Ubisoft? Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a new video or go live on the channel. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.